biggest characteristic of a good tarot reader is somebody that is humble and somebody that understands that spirit is working through you. So I just want to let you guys know my first thing that I do, my first, I would say, ritual or habit that I do when I read tarot or I read anything, if it's palm, tarot, energy, I always burn sage or burn Palo Santo, and I call on the angels to protect me and the person I'm doing a reading on. It's very, very important that you do that so that Hi everyone, welcome back to No Light Tarot. My name is Aries. Very good to have you all. So I am doing something for my members. I've just started doing a new membership. I'm really excited to be doing this, and it's going to be so much fun. I'm doing tarot courses, tarot classes. So one every week. It's for the members that are $9.99 a month, that pay $9.99 a month. Also do strategy videos and so forth and so forth. So if you're interested, sign up. It's in the membership tab. I have another membership too. It's $4.99 and it has exclusive videos and lots of other perks. So this week I'm going to be diving into the arcanas, the major arcana cards that are 22 cards of the tarot deck. So I'm going to be doing tarot courses, like I said, tarot classes. And a lot of you have been asking me for it, so I'm really excited that I'm able to do this and that I have enough time now, so forth and so forth. So just a quick background about me. I started reading tarot, I would say 19 years ago. I got my first tarot deck, and I will have a video where I explain this more out for you guys very soon. But I started reading tarot. I bought this tarot deck from this market, and it was lying around in my house, and I was just very obsessed ever since I was a kid. I was obsessed with the craft, I was obsessed with charm, I was obsessed with doing little spell work. I knew I had some kind of gift since I was a kid. In fact, everybody knew, you know. I just was one of those kids that I could read people very well, and it was clear that I had a sixth sense because of other situations that happened, and I will have a story time about that soon. So I want to focus this video on the tarot and the beautiful art of tarot, because I think it's definitely an art. You know, you do require having some kind of third eye energy open in order to read tarot. But I really started reading tarot fully, I would say 6 years ago, even though I dabbled in it on and off for the past 19 years. I really decided to learn, to focus, and to grow my talent of tarot. But I just want to quickly let you guys know I am a psychic medium. I have been reading palms for a very long time too. I would say 13 years I've been reading palms. So I do definitely, and I can pick up energies about people and certain things about people. So I do definitely have a gift. And I'm not saying that you need to have a gift, but enhancing your psychic ability definitely helps. Now, you don't have to force it. I don't believe that forcing anything really helps you. But if you already have some kind of psychic gifts, you can read energy. I recommend that maybe you try to read tarot, but don't force it, and don't all of a sudden start reading on everybody and think you know everything. In fact, to me, the biggest characteristic of a good tarot reader is somebody that is humble and somebody that understands that spirit is working through you. So I just want to let you guys know my first thing that I do, my first, I would say, ritual or habit that I do when I read tarot or I read anything, if it's palm, tarot, energy, I always burn sage or burn Palo Santo, and I call on the angels to protect me and the person I'm doing a reading on. It's very, very important that you do that, so that, you know, I've seen some people that are psychics lose their minds because they can't keep up, or that some kind of darkness has taken over them, and I don't want that to happen to any of you. So I'm just prefacing you with that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the 22 major arcana decks. I'm actually really excited. I designed my first deck, I'd say 3 years ago, and I've been meaning to print it, but I've been like editing it over the years, so it should be printed out very soon. I actually designed 2 decks. One of them is called the Innocent Tarot. The other is called Out of the Shadows Tarot. So stay tuned for that. I also have a tarot store. The link is in the description. So I want to start off by just saying, or let me add to what I started off by saying, there's 22 cards, the major arcanas. The major arcanas are said to be the part of the deck that is most powerful. I remember I did a reading a long time ago on someone, and they got only major arcanas, and she was like, wow, because she was an artist and she'd done tarot before. She'd done like physical artwork for tarot decks. She said, wow, I can't believe I got all these major arcanas. And I said, that's not the point. Like I said, with tarot, it's best to be as humble as possible when you read tarot, because you're lucky to even get a message from the angels or from spirit. So I always like to look at it like that. You're not winning anything by getting a major arcana. You're not like there's no levels to the person that I'm doing a reading on, whether they get major arcanas or not. So I encourage you to approach it like that too. Major arcanas are just the first 22. They do hold a lot of power, and they're also linked to astrology, and we'll get to that. So the deck I'm using is actually, I would say, a modernized version of the original tarot deck, which is, I believe it was created in France in the 1700s, which is so fascinating. But this is Modern Witch Tarot deck. And actually, somebody asked me this. I asked somebody to ask me personal questions, and they told me, they're like, okay, what was your first tarot deck? My first tarot deck was the traditional tarot deck, you know, the French one that's like everybody has like the red on the back. Traditionally uses cups, uses swords, uses, you know. So this is a take on that. It's a modern take on it. I love this tarot deck. I think it's one of my favorite tarot decks. And this is by Lisa Still. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love that it's modernized, and I love that it's like got lots of colors, but she still keeps some of the essence of the old tarot deck, the traditional one, the first one discovered. So, or put to print, really. So I'm going to go through each card. And as I go through each card, I'm also going to talk about the link between astrology, why we use the specific card, and what it signifies. So if you want to take notes, I recommend taking notes. Yeah, it's just very interesting. So the Fool card is 0 in the deck, and it is often every tarot illustrator or tarot deck creator uses something different for the Fool card. But in general, every tarot deck has 78 pages, 78 cards. The decks I have created have 79, and I'll explain to you why when it comes out. Because I have a friend who creates tarot decks, and she did 79, and I was like, you know what? I like the idea of having 79 tarot cards, excuse me. So, in a deck. So the Fool is the beginning. And you'll often see, well, in the traditional, there's a man, I believe. I don't really remember the traditional too well. But in this one, she's walking. I believe he has a stick, and he's starting anew. So this represents new beginnings. So sometimes this represents Aries because it is the first zodiac sign. Otherwise, the Emperor is often signified by Aries is signified by the Emperor. This one in this deck it's the Emperor, but sometimes some tarot deck creators love to use the Fool as Aries to signify Aries. This one, that is not the case, and I'll show you later when we get to the Emperor why. So when you receive this card, when you're shuffling, you're doing a 3-card pull, 5-card pull, however many card pulls you're doing. I usually, when I see the Fool, it often gives me something new. So obviously it depends what else is going to be in your card deck pulling, like when you pull your cards. But something that I love about the Fool is that it often reminds us we always have a second chance. There's a chance to redo, to renew. It's kind of like spring. It reminds me of spring. So we're going to move on to the Magician, which is number 1. And this is, to me, often manifestation. Whenever I see Magician, you know, she has her sword down. You see the pentacle beside her, and she has a wand up in the air. That's an indication of manifestation, making things, starting to create things. And you know, the number of sequence of the tarot cards is very important because after 0 comes 1, and 1 is the beginning of creation. I don't want to get into biblical because I feel like some people don't really like that, but I believe there's a verse in the Bible that speaks about 1 being the number of creation. So I always like to think about that. In fact, one of my mentors, he speaks, Santos Bonacci, he speaks a lot about how tarot, astrology, and the Bible are linked together. And we see the link between astrology and tarot a lot. In fact, that's what got me into tarot again, is that I became really obsessed with astrology, I'd say 8 years ago, and it linked me back to tarot, which has been very interesting. So after that, we're going to do the High Priestess. The High Priestess is card number 2, and this is the 3rd card, so it starts from 0, and we go to the number 2, which is the High Priestess. So this is often about knowing. You know, the High Priestess, I always like to imagine as somebody who has this deep knowing, you know.